Hello, this is Duke Rustfield, and I'm going to talk about how to make sideways builds. Normally, um, to make a build, first you need some kind of frame to put a cabin on, and then you need wheels. And your normal orientation is going to be this way for forward. You can't turn your cabin in any direction, unlike some other modules or weapons. It has to face that way. So this is just a normal car, um, nothing special about it. And you do the same for other types of wheels. Um, I'm going to put a step spider because they're faster with ML legs. So this is just a normal base walker build. Doesn't do anything. So the legs are to the side and like a normal spider or crab, and it'll freak out people who have arachnophobia. But you're very wide. This is a very wide build, so for nothing on it, this is very wide, and you can't make it too much more narrow unless you can do something like this. But you have the cabin, the cabin has to be there somewhere, and so you're less wide, but now your two legs are attached to one frame part. But a bigger concern with this is these legs are incredibly durable, and they're not doing anything. They're just legs sitting over there. You're mostly moving forward or backward. Yes, you can strafe, but these very protected legs, they have, let's see, 810 durability, but they also, you can look at properties or parameters, they're resistant to contact damage. So if someone's trying to hit you with harvester or something like that, they're extra protection, but only if they hit these legs. So what you can also do is turn your vehicle sideways. And really you're not doing anything different, you're just changing your configuration. And so this same exact build, if I go to my controls, and here are my controls, instead of strafe left, I'm going to take my forward key and put that there. I use my left mouse button. For strafe right, I'm going to take backwards and reassign that. For forward, you take your strafe right, and for back, you're strafed left, what it was originally. And then I'm pressing forward now. And the good thing about this is I now have these armored legs in front of me. And now I don't want to make them stick out over here. I want them really in front of me. And you can still be stable doing something like this, because you don't need to have an even number of wheels. So I've got 3 legs and this is fine. And more importantly, I now have these gigantic, and look how much this protects. If you're shooting at that, especially with a cannon, so okay, that's my car right there. So if I hit test, now it'll reset that. Let me just grab one of my cannon. Let me just put a cannon on this. Let me put an elephant. You can see I didn't put that quite centered. So this is my front. And if I aim at it, that did not hit the cabin. It's getting interrupted by that leg right there. And that's going to happen for most explosions. So this build I have right now, which has basically nothing on it except a cabin, some frames, and legs, this thing withstood 3 elephant shots as epic cannon. Didn't if I shoot it from the front, or sorry, this will be the side, but it would have normally been the front. One. You can see it's smoking. Alright, well, it still didn't die, but it's close to death. So this is a way, not only did I make myself much more narrow, because I'm not walking this direction, I'm walking this direction, and I took off one leg because I don't need to have an even number across from each other. It's harder, to walk this way. You're going to run into more problems just going over things. You can do it, but if you're going to do that, I recommend going sideways, and that's really easy. And so this is how you center. You're not doing anything differently. You're just logically in your garage building everything this direction, or you could build it this way if you want to be weird. But yeah, this is completely valid. Let's see. You can cut down on frames. So I'm lighter, less power score. These frames are pretty durable, and they're smaller targets. So, this is 2205 power score, but that's a bit misleading because it's fairly durable. And what you can do with this is you can even mount things underneath there. And this is going to, it is hard to shoot out with the legs this narrow. So as you can see, I can't. It's blocked. If I scoot some, I'd have to put like a 4. You can scoot them over a little bit, and this will make you a little more stable. Having the legs that narrow, so I have to aim over there. Having the legs too narrow makes you a little, you're going to be a little unstable. If someone bumps you, you're going to go flying. But you see how narrow this is. That also makes you a more difficult target. So if you're using weapons, sometimes you do want to be that narrow. Let's see, what's the closest I can get this? That's the closest. So if you had like a hurricane or pyre or drones, it's not a lot of room for drones, but you're a hard target to hit. And that's not usually the case with ML legs. That's really wide if we're going this way. You know, compare how wide that is and what spaces we can go through. This side, you know, I'm taking up this much room versus taking up that much room. And again, this is a bit, for higher power scores, this can be a little dangerous because you can get both legs hit in one blast, or you know, like if a triple cricket is shooting at you, it might take off both those legs in one shot, and you only got one leg in the back. So there's risks, but it's, you know, you saw how easy it was to do. If I want to go back, boom, 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 boom. Now I'm back to normal driving. That's how long it takes. So I think a number of people believe it's a lot more difficult to make a sideways build than it really is. This is a sideways hover, and the same concept applies. I just whipped this up a second ago as a demonstration. This, you know, the same thing with the legs, but even more so, is very hard to balance. When you have everything symmetrical, you know, facing that way, it's easier to balance. With it like this, you know, it might seem balanced. Let me change my config. Do this, 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 this. There, that's it. But this is not you can see that generator's tilting everything. So, you know, you got to scoot it. Now it's tilted forward. So yeah, this is very valuable for hovers too, because you are such a narrow target, and you have your cabin, which contains the totality of all your durability, protecting those hovers. You're as wide as that cabin. So that's really powerful. Having, you know, a normal hover, let's see. You don't need all these frames, but I'm just being lazy. So this is a lot easier to balance. You can stick stuff around and it won't go crazy. This will probably be pretty unbalanced, but we'll see. Oops. Oops. Oh yeah. So that, done. So yeah, that's pretty sucky. But look how wide this is, and again, these are just sticking out, asking to be shot. And you've got a lot of, so you've got to cover your cabin. You know, you have to protect your cabin. Otherwise you lose this, you die. But you also have to protect all these from all these different directions. That's a lot to protect. So unlike the ML leg situation where you want these in front of you to protect your cabin, with the hovers it's the opposite. You want them behind you so your cabin can protect them. Now any place you add armor is essentially protecting all these hovers and everything from at least the front, because it has to go through your cabin, and that, you know, you can put different kinds of cabins there, and it's still, they might not all be as wide, but the whole point is you're protecting them. And you know, you can have even more layers of hovers, and done. Um, so yeah, this is, I recommend doing this and putting this into your toolkit to use. Uh, instead of being, you just have more real estate. For ML legs, it's getting those legs to be able to protect your vehicle instead of just sticking out the sides and making you gigantic. That doesn't help you. Here, um, you're getting you're trying to have as easy a time as possible protecting these. So if you maybe extend, oops, I'm out of, if I extend, that's stupid. I'll just be lazy again. So, can this fit in here? Doing something like that, and then again being lazy. Um, doing something like that, and putting a few more connections. You don't have to use nearly as many armor pieces to build a fortress around your very fragile car. Um, and that's the big problem with hovers, is they're so fragile. I mean, you'd never do this. This is a really crappy build, but it's for illustrative purposes. So yeah, you'd use lighter material. You need to make more connection points. But just as a throwaway goof, I didn't plan on doing this. You have a lot of options on where you can put things, and this can easily take a cannon shot or two and lose nothing important, and that's a lot harder to say about a normal hover with your hovers just sticking out to the side, asking to be killed. It is more difficult to fly, and your controls don't work perfectly because your backwards and turn is going to be opposite of what you're used to. And it's annoying, and the same thing with the ML legs, and you can't really change that in the config, but just don't backwards and turn, or get used to it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to really show is this isn't a hack. You're not changing any configuration files or model types or anything like that. You can stick all sorts of wheels sideways to use to whatever advantage you want. There, now you've got a track spaced armor in front. And it doesn't do anything. But if you lose these back hovers, you can still drive sideways. And you wouldn't use this, but you can't. Do I still have that? So this is. Let's see. Where is? If you want to see something really. This is one of my sideway builds, and it uses 2 legs, 2 hovers, 2 whole frame pieces, cabin sitting in between, And this is a precariously balanced build that is only possible using sideways builds. And what this does is it takes a mandrake and it allows it to be fired like a normal cannon. It's not incredibly agile or easy to use, and it has the same backwards and turning problems as anything else. But this is like, what is it, 6,000 PS, 6,074 PS, a lot of durability. And the big thing about this, at 6,000 PS, there's my Leviathan. I'm going to shoot it. I just did, I don't know how much damage, but a lot. And so you could, this is really only doable with sideways builds. 6,000 power score. And before it seems like too powerful, and it is pretty powerful, if you encounter something, if you encounter something like this, I'll show you the weakness. That's right. Well, anyway, you just push it. It'll fall over. I mean, just bump it at all. It can't. It's it's standing on two legs and oops, that's my config's the wrong way. And balanced on a radar detector in the rear. So yeah, it'll spin around like a top. Yeah, 4 legs, and you can, I mean, you can do it with just about anything. Normal wheels, not so much. They don't work exceptionally well being dragged sideways, but you can drag them literally and not impair your movement as much as you might think. Golden Eagle accelerates tracks and grinders. So this is kind of the Flintstone mobile. So grinders are another example. They grind stuff, much like the name signifies. But they're to the side of your vehicle, which isn't really good at grinding unless you strafe them. This is terrible at turning, but now you've got some Flintstone wheels, and you can run into people and grind them. It just doesn't do that much damage, but this is another example of being able to turn your wheels sideways. Okay, so that's it, and one more time, it's just this and this. And there, done. And now it's a normal car. So, Duke Rustfield, enjoy the game.